From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, March 14th, 2015. Silver is trading at $15.67 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,159 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $284. Anti-War.com reports the U.S. State Department has announced their latest round of non-lethal aid for Syrian rebels, and while couched as an attempt to support the Syrian opposition, much of the money is going to pet projects to try to rile up international support against the Assad government. $15 million of the funding is going to journalists and opposition figures to support documentation of war crimes, human rights violations, and other Syrian government abuses. The State Department has been keen on this, hyping abuses committed by the Assad government for years, initially in an effort to build up support for a failed U.S. invasion, and now seemingly just to keep that window open. Despite talking up a $70 million figure for the non-lethal aid to rebels, the rebels themselves appear only to be getting about $25 million worth of gear, with the rest going to journalists or self-proclaimed governments in exile to try to buy credibility. Much of that will be going to the Syrian National Coalition in Istanbul, which has virtually no backing by any armed rebel forces anywhere, but is still regularly bankrolled by the U.S. government to keep their lights on while they hold endless meetings over who is going to be leading their ultimately powerless group. For over 35 years, Robertson Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. UPI reports Indiana police called to a Walmart store in Muncie said they discovered an active meth lab in the men's restroom. The Pendleton District Meth Suppression Team said the workers at the Muncie Walmart called police about 11:30 p.m. on Thursday when a suspicious backpack was found abandoned in the men's restroom. Officers discovered the backpack contained an active methamphetamine lab, and the Meth Suppression Team was called in to dismantle the apparatus. Investigators donned protective respirator masks and suits to remove the chemicals from the store. The health department determined that both the men's and women's restrooms would have to be decontaminated by a company specializing in meth lab cleanup before they were reopened to the public. Investigators say they were working to identify the owner of the bag. Indiana State Police said meth dealers are increasingly leaving labs in public places to cook rather than risk explosion or contamination at their own homes. They said the dealers leave the chemicals to cook and later return for the finished product. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerary supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month or any amount of Bitcoin per month, thanks to the recurring payment options provided by Coinbase. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports pro-government labor unions and social activists staged demonstrations across Brazil on Friday in support of President Dilma Rousseff 2 days before mass protests planned against her administration. The leftist leader is facing a wave of discontent over a stalling economy, unpopular budget cuts, and a corruption scandal over kickbacks at oil company Petrobras that has implicated 4 dozen politicians from her governing coalition. The protest on Sunday could deepen a political crisis that has been given rise to calls for Rousseff's impeachment for not stopping a multi-billion-dollar graft racket for Petróleo Brasileiro, as the oil company is formally called. Police said 12,000 people blocked one of the main avenues in Sao Paulo, Brazil's largest city, marching in the rain to defend the state-run oil company and workers' rights threatened by belt-tightening economic policies. Turnout in other Brazilian cities was smaller, and there were no reports of any violence. The demonstrators had contradictory slogans. While backing Rousseff, the unions called for the withdrawal of her measures to reduce unemployment and pension benefits, part of an austerity plan she has had to adopt to bridge a gaping fiscal deficit and save Brazil from a credit rating downgrade. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.